Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about Freddie Mercury, the amazing rock star. Everyone knows him for his incredible singing voice and his wild performances on stage. But today, we're going to learn about a side of him that not many people knew. We'll discover how his personal life was very different from what people saw in public. We'll see how he was actually a shy and kind person behind all the fame. At the end of the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more fun content about music and pop culture. Let's get started. Mary Austin was born in 1951 in Fulham, London. She's famous not just because she was Freddie Mercury's ex-fiancée, but also because she was his best friend for his whole life. She became a very important person in British music history. Her parents were deaf, so Mary learned from a very young age how to read lips and use sign language. This special part of her childhood shaped how she saw the world. Even though her romantic relationship with Freddie Mercury ended when he told her he was gay, their bond never broke. Freddie often called Mary my only true love, showing how deep their emotional connection was. Even after they stopped being boyfriend and girlfriend, Mary stayed close to Freddie until he died in 1991. Even though Mary played such an important role in the Queen singer's life, she chose to live away from the spotlight. She lived quietly in Garden Lodge, the house that Freddie left her in his will. This shows how committed she was to protecting Freddie Mercury's memory and legacy. At 73 years old, Mary Austin recently broke her silence. She revealed a more personal and intimate side of her story, surprising the world with her tale of lasting love and her dedication to Freddie Mercury's memory. Although Mary chose not to get directly involved in making the movie Bohemian Rhapsody in 2018, reports say she approved of how the film showed her relationship with Freddie Mercury. Her quiet but powerful influence on Freddie Mercury's life and career continues to fascinate and inspire Queen fans and music lovers around the world. Freddie Mercury met Mary Austin in 1969. Both of them were just starting out in London at the time. Freddie was born as Farik Bulzara in Zanzibar. He had moved to England with his family in the 1960s. Mary was born in Battersea, London, in 1951. She worked at a fancy clothing store. Freddie had just graduated from art school and worked at a clothing stand nearby in Kensington. At first, Mary had her doubts about Freddie Mercury's wild personality, but soon they became a couple. They shared a small apartment while he chased his endless music dreams. In her own words to OK magazine in 2000, Mary described Freddie Mercury as someone unique and confident. He was unlike anyone she had ever met. She admitted it took about 3 years for her to truly fall in love with him. This shows how their relationship deepened gradually. While Mary and Freddie's romance was growing, his music career was taking off. In 1972, his band Queen signed their first recording contract and started getting noticed. This was a time of change, both in the couple's personal life and in Freddie's professional career. This early phase of their relationship is often remembered as a time of personal and professional growth for both of them. Mary played an important role as a supporter and especially as Freddie Mercury's companion during Queen's early years. The couple finally managed to move to a bigger apartment, but the turning point for Mary Austin came when she saw Freddie Mercury perform at an old art school in front of a passionate crowd. She realized that something extraordinary was happening. Freddie was so magnificent on that stage, more than I had ever seen him before. It was the first time I felt, here is a rising star. Despite Freddie's new fame, Mary was worried that it might lead him to leave her. That same night, after seeing him perform, she tried to quietly leave to let him be with his excited fans. However, Freddie quickly followed her and refused to let her go. Mary remembers, from that moment, I realized I needed to get on board with this and be part of it. As everything took off, I saw it bloom. It was incredible to witness his growth. I was so happy that he wanted me by his side. With Mary by his side, Queen quickly climbed to stardom. Freddie's marriage proposal was an emotional surprise in 1973. That was the same year Queen released their first album. The couple moved to a spacious apartment on Holland Road in London. Freddie proposed in a playfully memorable way when Mary was 23 years old. He gave me a big box on Christmas Day. Inside was another box, then another, and so on. It was typical of his games. Finally, inside the last box I found a beautiful jade ring. Mary shared with the Daily Mail in 2013. Surprised and a bit unsure of what was happening, Mary asked Freddie which hand she should put the ring on. He replied, on the left hand, and then asked her to marry him. I was shocked. It wasn't anything I expected. I just whispered, yes, I accept. Queen became a global phenomenon with the release of their acclaimed albums Sheer Heart Attack in 1974 and A Night at the Opera in 1975. That album included the great song, The Ballad Love of My Life, which was supposedly written by Freddie for Mary. Let's listen to a little bit of that song. As the band's fame grew exponentially, so did Freddie's fame with his bold style, his impressive voice of almost 4 octaves, and striking performances that captivated audiences around the whole world. However, Mary would never become the singer's official wife. The peak of their romance had arrived. The couple was engaged, and Freddie had proclaimed his love for Mary by dedicating the emotional song Love of My Life to her. While Queen was achieving tremendous success internationally, the days when he shared a small studio seemed distant. Mary always believed that Freddie was gay and not bisexual. As Freddie's career reached its peak, cracks began to appear in their relationship. After almost 6 years together, Mary began to notice that something was wrong, although she was reluctant to fully admit it at first. At first, I thought this new distance between us was because of his newly acquired fame, she explained. She described how when she returned from work, Freddie often wasn't home until late. We weren't as close as we used to be. Freddie's attitude about the wedding also changed drastically. When Mary timidly mentioned buying her wedding dress, he responded evasively, "No," and the subject was never touched again. Mary decided to confront Freddie about her concerns. "I told him something is happening. I feel like I'm getting in your way. I think it's time for me to leave," she recalled in an interview with OK magazine. Freddie insisted there was nothing wrong, but Mary noticed the closeness between them was wearing thin. At the same time the band was enjoying overwhelming success, Freddie started coming home later and later most nights. Mary suspected he might be involved with someone else. However, in 1976, already an international star, Freddie decided to open up to her and talk about his sexual evolution. "I'll never forget that moment," Mary told the Daily Mail. "Being a bit naive, it took me time to understand the truth. It was when he finally felt comfortable telling me he was bisexual." However, Mary, confident in her perceptions, responded at that moment, "No, Freddie, I don't think you're bisexual. I think you're gay." After Freddie Mercury's revelation about his sexuality, their physical relationship came to an end. She moved to a nearby apartment bought for her by Mercury's music publisher, but she continued to be an essential part of the band's inner circle. Mary accompanied Queen on their travels, and there are photographs of them together backstage at concerts until the end of the 1970s, even after they were no longer a couple. As described by biographer Blake, he observes that Freddie was, in every sense, a gay man. It's a very interesting part of his story that they lived together as a couple with her believing they would get married, and then having to accept that he was getting involved with men. Despite this, they continued being good friends for a very long time. Even after the engagement was canceled, Mary remained integrated into the band's close circle. After all, she was a central figure. Freddie Mercury expressed relief after sharing his truth with her. Although their lives went separate ways, he bought an apartment near his for her to keep her close by. Despite the change in the nature of their relationship, Freddie still had deep affection for his ex-fiancée. As he himself explained in an interview in 1975, "The only friend I have is Mary, and I don't want anyone else. I believe in ourselves. That's enough for me," he said. While Mary continued her life and eventually had 2 children with the painter Piers Cameron, Cameron always felt like he was in Freddie's shadow and eventually moved away from Mary's life. Freddie started a 7-year relationship with Jim Hutton. He stated later, "All my lovers asked me why they couldn't replace Mary, but it's simply impossible." Mary was by Freddie's side until the end of his life. During this time, Mary witnessed Freddie Mercury living a life of extravagant luxury, immersed in the typical rock star lifestyle marked by excesses, substance abuse, and random sexual encounters. Meanwhile, she followed her own path, raising her children with Piers, Cameron, Richard, for whom Freddie was godfather, and Jamie, born shortly after the singer's death. Although she never formalized her relationship with Cameron through marriage, her subsequent marriage to businessman Nick Holford ended in divorce after 5 years. Despite the changes in their personal lives, Mary Austin was never absent for long from Freddie Mercury's life. According to Rapport,